Adrenaline pumping through my veins, can't relax. Original, I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever mind and they beeswax. I don't ever cap, but I'm wearing like 3 hats. Never been a rat, but I know where the cheese at. You'll never get a trophy cause they all here where we at. You better believe that. When it's all said and done, I'll still be here standing. Never took a loss and it ain't something that I'm planning. I dare you to say something. My focus is A1. Every dog has its day. It's been mine since day one. This is real grinding. I'm still climbing. While you still trying, I'm still shining. It's real blinding. And I'm getting hotter too. Talking top 2, I'm not a 2. You let the pressure bother you when I do what I gotta do. Let's go hard. Coming close to me, flow is on atomic. I'm starting fires through poetry. The hardest out, staying loyal, no falling out. And if you step into the court, be ready, we balling out. Yeah, the coldest of teens, they know what we bring. Don't try us, ain't no in between. We go for these dreams in silence. Hard work, don't mistake it for magic. We been shooting in the gym. This is target and practice. Yeah. And I'm just getting started, getting feet wet. It's all in repetition, ain't a secret. All facts, all black dress code. Pay me my respect, collecting every debt. Oh, the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah.
Welcome to 2025. Welcome to the first Eurocup 3 race of the season. In this case, not of the regular season, of course, but as part of the Spanish Winter Championship. For many of these drivers, this will be a sort of pre-season, not testing perhaps, but pre-season racing. For others, this will be the first steps on a very serious campaign, because winning is always winning. It doesn't matter if it's a regular season or it's the Winter Championship. And for many others, this will just be one more race in which to show their talent, to show their speed, and to show that they have what it takes to keep climbing up the ladder towards Formula One. That impossible for many, but not for all, dream that they all want to reach someday. And that first step in this 2025 will happen at the Circuito de Jerez Ángel Nieto, where we have already had the qualifying session this morning and where we are about to have the first race of the weekend. It will be the first of 9 races of the Spanish Winter Championship for Eurocup 3. And of course, we already have, as we said, a qualifying session to comment. And we have an interesting protagonist, because we have Mattia Colnaghi, who comes directly from Spanish Formula 4 Championship, being one of the standouts, definitely one of the drivers who we should be keeping an eye on. Yes, the track conditions were not exactly the most conventional this morning. We had a wet, semi-wet track, a humid track, with some wet patches and some drier areas. So of course it was not perhaps the most representative conditions ever. But of course, racing drivers need to fight in all sorts of conditions, and the fact that he was quick from the get-go is giving him, for sure, be giving him very good confidence to tackle this weekend, and why not the whole series. We have Kolnagi in this first place, the MP Motorsport driver, who will have to contend with a number of rivals, a total of 25 cars on the grid. And now we are seeing one of the protagonists, in this case, Jesse Carrasquedo, the Mexican driver, will be starting from ninth place, and he will be one of the drivers to keep that Campos and MP Motorsport duel alive. In this case, as we said, we have MP Motorsport starting from first place thanks to Kolnagi, but we will also have the presence of other teams around the top positions. We have James Egozzi in this second place from Palou Motorsport, and he will be another driver who we would do well to keep an eye on, especially because Palou Motorsport has done some good signings in the winter period, and they are getting ready to fight with the big teams. Let's also remember from the end of last year, Palou Motorsport is now considered as the junior team for Chip Ganassi Racing in United States in the, let's say, ladder towards the IndyCar. So as we were saying before, during the E4 race 1, this is not just Formula 1 that people are going to be focused on. So we have some of the images for coming directly from the track where we see a little bit of wind, and also that means it is time to talk to Miguel Portillo, who is already standing on the grid and bringing us all the action, all the information from trackside. Miguel, happy to talk to you again. How are things going?
Hello, Alex. Hello, everybody. So happy on my side to talk to you and to talk to everybody. Here we are in the sunny Jerez. The day is getting warmer. The track is absolutely ready for this race. And Eurocup 3 is undergo. The grid they're still already in the pit lane, so we are waiting for them to rolling up, and all the cars that come in here. But we are here waiting for them in the main straight, 600 of the main straight. We have not seen so many overtakes during this day, but we are waiting for them in this Eurocup 3. I want to show you the first corner because it's a little bit tricky. We are going to see how Kolnagi, the guy who won the Formula 4 last season, got to try to defend this first position, but consider that one. At the end of this main street and this uphill, you have to brake super late because there is a little bit uphill. You can brake a little bit late. So we're going to enjoy a lot this fight in this very few moments. And it's a tricky beginning of the race because there's only 200 meters. It's a start where the first corner is super close. That's why all the driver had to push the throttle to the limit and try to find the gap, the distance, the speed to the very first corner. So maybe Egozzi have an opportunity to try to overtake because later on there are not so many places in the old school track that is Jerez. 15 corners, later chicane that maybe there's an opportunity out there, or maybe there's another opportunity in the second straight. It's also a short one, but this one, the main straight was 600 meters. It could be the main opportunity for all of them. Also, I want to show you the wide. It is not so wide, only 12 meters from line to line. That why, but that's an old school. The new tracks, they are around 15 meters. Also, you can have another car side by side. Here, you can only have 2 cars side by side. So if you see 3 cars, take care because there can be contact. We have seen some flags in the early race, in the very first Eurocup 3 race. We want to see as much action as possible. And remember, when we finish the race, we're going to consider who is in the 8th position, because lately this afternoon we're going to see the reverse grid. So it's also important. Alex, we will come back as soon as the cars coming in.
Happy to hear from you, Miguel Portillo, our man on the grid. And as he was mentioning, this is an old school circuit. This is an old school track, and one that is not maybe giving the drivers as many chances to overtake. And this will be especially true in the case of Eurocup 3 because the machines are, of course, a little bit larger than the E4 cars that we saw earlier. So, of course, that will mean that the two main overtaking spots, the main straight and the back straight, will be perhaps even more important to get a good launch from the start, because after this, the chances will be becoming lesser and lesser. But one thing that will not be getting lesser, but rather will be getting higher, is the temperature on the track. Why? Because the day is getting hotter and hotter. And of course, this means that drivers will have to consider that half an hour race will have different conditions, perhaps at the start and at the end, because this is a half an hour race. And so the way that the track is getting hotter in this half an hour may have an effect on that. But for the time being, we also have to look at all these drivers that are soon to be getting out on the track to go to the grid, as we see some of the mechanics from Drivex in this case, and as we watch the driver starting from 17th position, that is number 25, in this case Preston Lambert, who will have quite a high task for him in this first race, because he has quite a few positions to recover if he wants to get some good points. There are some interesting names in this class, in this Eurocup 3 this weekend, as we see the cars getting out from the pit lane, and we can take a good moment to mention this order, the starting order from the race, because we have Mattia Colnaghi, as Miguel mentioned, the current Spanish Formula 4 champion. Starting from pole position, he will be driving ahead of James Egozzi, and another man that he knows very well, Matthias Gladish, one of his rivals last year in Spanish Formula 4, and also some old faces from the series, like Nico Atzolov with Campos Racing in this 4th place, ahead of his teammate in this 5th position, number 27 in another of the Campos, Kasper Stuka, with the first local driver, first Spanish driver, Juan Cota, in 6th place. Juan Cota, who was one of the big surprises of the Spanish Formula 4 Championship last year, a driver who maybe not many were expecting to be at the front, and yet he was able to perform surprisingly well with that magic weekend in Valencia, with those 3 wins and further wins down the season, which led him to fight face-to-face, head-to-head with the main names of the series. So Cota will be starting from P6 ahead of Emo Fittipaldi in that 7th place, ahead of Cárdenas, Carrasquedo and Caranta, rounding up the top 10. And following that top 10, we will have Intra Povasak, Burz, Barashi, Afkasava, Macedo, Morano, Lambert, Reed, Hidek, Castillo, Helberg, Feldman, Cantu, Blokina and Helberg. Still in the pit lane, the second of the Helberg brothers from this new LA racing team, which has joined the championship this year, this 2025, as we are watching now Nikola Tsolov with the very recognizable Red Bull Racing colors, driving for Campos Racing. Let's remember that team, Campos Racing, which is currently supporting Red Bull Junior drivers in several categories, including, well, this Eurocup 3, also Formula 4, but also Formula 3 and Formula 2, as they race with Formula 1 in several race weekends. This is another driver that will be giving his best to get into the points area. We are talking about Tassanapol Intra Povasak, starting from 11th, so very, very close to the points. And he will be looking to get a good result from the get-go. Again, good moment to remember how this works. It's 3 races on every race weekend for these drivers. And of course, we have to consider that even though there are 4 race weekends in the Spanish Winter Championship, the Eurocup 3 and E4 will not be on the track all the same weekends. The 3rd race weekend of the season will be E4 only at Navarra, before Eurocup 3 races in Motorland as the last round of the Spanish Winter Championship, although they will share the circuit with the first round of the regular season of the Spanish Formula 4 Championship. We will have more chances to clarify that in the future. But what matters now is that we will have 3 full rounds of racing with the Spanish Winter Championship, and that 4 will technically overlap the Spanish Winter Championship with the proper regular championship will be starting in spring. In the screens we're seeing a few of the drivers. Linus Hellberg we saw. Now that is one of the MP Motorsport cars. That's number 33. So again, let's not get confused. This is not Max Verstappen, although the number 33 is always somehow tied to the Netherlands. In this case with MP Motorsport, it was Andrés Cárdenas getting to the grid. Number 77, of course, for Emo Fittipaldi, Emerson Fittipaldi's son, which I had the pleasure of knowing quite well a few years ago, both father and son, when they were racing still in Formula 4. And they are very, very determined to get far in the Wall of Motorsports. Of course, Emerson Fittipaldi, two-time world champion, knows very well what it takes to succeed in motorsport. Number 71 on your screens, Mattia Colnaghi. That is the driver starting from pole position, the Italian-Argentinian driver who definitely has made a splash on his first weekend so far with a fantastic qualifying session, pole position for him. And considering that some of the drivers have experience from last year, this is showing that his speed seems to be as real as we thought last year in his presence in Formula 4. And this is number 4, of course, Juan Cota, another of the guys who could offer some surprise this year. Careful with him because he is one of the most audacious drivers that we have in this category. He's a hard charger, he's a steely defender, and if he has the good pace, which he often does, he could have something interesting to say. Maciej Gladic, another driver who is very polite, very prim, very proper, but very quick on track. Do not be fooled by his friendly demeanor. He is always willing to give everything he has on track to aim for the win, starting from P3. In this case, means he will have a chance at that, but he will have to contend with Mattia Colnaghi, with James Segozzi, of course, but he will have to defend himself from a driver that knows these cars like the back of his hand, Nikola Tsolov, the number 8 driver for this with this Red Bull liveried Campos racing car. All of them, of course, will be giving some good entertainment to this crowd that has decided that the cold of the winter is not an obstacle to come and see some good racing. Of course, we know that this Jerez circuit saw Eurocup 3 and Spanish Formula 4 Championship races not so long ago, just a few months ago. But we know that the Spanish fans are a passionate bunch, and if there's races going on, they always find the chance to get to the track. And this is, again, Juan Cota, a last greeting with the team, a last wish of good luck, because the track action will be starting in just a few minutes. And the fans, they take the best viewing positions, of course, because they need to understand what is going on. We can also recommend them to follow us either here on this English broadcast or also on our sister Spanish broadcast with our companion Santi Torres, also doing a fantastic job for the Spanish-speaking audience. Of course, we also have the presence of Miguel Portillo on the track, who is often giving us some insights from the track, and who is also working with the team on the field to make sure that we get these fantastic images from the grid, and later on, hopefully, if there is no red flag like we had in E4, after the race is finished, we will be able to talk to hopefully to the winner of the race and see a little bit of the celebrations. Anyway, the teams are starting to pull away their materials, their tools, their tires back to the pit lane, because this is the time for the drivers and their machines. The track action is about to get underway, and now this is just the last few remaining members of the teams that need to be there in case that there's any issue before the cars get moving. And here we have the 2-minute board on the grid. No need to rush, but everything is mostly prepared. As the fans keep their best tools to see the races from afar, binoculars. Very old school, and we like it. We like it. This is an old school track, so you need to use old school tricks to enjoy the races. And tricks, well, these drivers will have to use all of them to try and get good positions, to defend, to attack, but in the end, most importantly, to make sure that they have good points. And let's see, we seem to have some kind of issue, but the car is moving on its own. Or not. This seems to be a deja vu moment for me. That's number 43, so that's one of the LA racing cars, in this case the Linus Helbert car. And as I say, I am having a little bit of a deja vu with what happened in the E4 championship. We had also a problem on the grid, which delayed that yellow, brought the yellow flag, delayed that formation lap. What ended up happening in E4 was that we had a spin during that formation lap. Let's hope that we do not have a repeat of that specifically, because we know what that means, and that means less racing action, less racing laps, and we do not enjoy that. Drivers, of course, will not enjoy that. What a shame also for Linus Helberg, one of the Swedish drivers from the LA Racing, which now is having some issues to get that car into the pit lane. Not sure if this car got stuck right now in gear. Oh, that could be a problem. If this car got stuck in gear, that is a problem. It has to be lifted, and quickly it is lifted. There we go. No problem is too big for these guys. Mechanics and engineers from Euro Cup 3 and E4 championships, who are always able to sort out any issue. And we have the formation lap ongoing now, finally. A few less problems, perhaps, than we were fearing, which is always a good thing. So that means the cars are ongoing, and that's all we wanted to see. We wanted to see the cars moving, hopefully no spin, and if the cars are moving and there is no spin, then we start everything in time and we have what we want. Half an hour of good racing. Don't you like good racing? I know I do. And I know these drivers do as well, as they've shown time and time again in the past, both in their own racing classes, but also in Euro Cup 3 the previous season. Let's remember, some of these guys have already raced here, so they already know this car, they already know this circuit, they know the combination. I'm thinking of Solov, I'm thinking of Fittipaldi, among others. Some of the most competitive were perhaps them. So, of course, we have to see how they manage. We have to see how they fight with the younger drivers who are bringing that challenge, because I suspect that the younger generation coming from Spanish Formula 4 is very, very, very promising. We are seeing, of course, we are talking, of course, of the current champion, Mattia Colnaghi. We're talking also about James Segozzi. We're talking about Matthias Gladish, these top three that were starring last year in the Spanish Formula 4 Championship, who now move up to the Euro Cup 3. Bigger machines, but just as exciting races. Now reaching the last sector of the track. And getting to that grid formation before we can finally start the race. Again, hopefully without any further issues, as we did have earlier in E4. We will be hoping that this race will be able to be finished under green flag, as all races should, really. So cars are approaching the grid, and we will soon be finding ourselves in the right time to start. Cars approaching the grid. Let's remember 24 of them, since the number 46, sorry, from 43, sorry, from Linus Hellberg had these problems in the grid. We'll have to see if he can rejoin from the pit lane. So we'll have those 24 cars ready to start. We are seeing Juan Cota right now. And finally, now we are going to have the first standing start of the 2025 Spanish Winter Championship. Green flag at the end. Everything is resolved. Everything is perfect. And it's time to get the action underway. Off we go. It's race start. And I think James Segozzi has had a better start than Mattia Colnaghi, and will try to complete that overtake on the outside. Strong defense by Colnaghi, but Segozzi goes a little bit wide, and he's not able to take that overtake. So we keep that lead for the MP Motorsport driver. And behind there's some action as well. Cardenas went up to 4th, ahead of Zolov. Ota keeping 6th place. And the fight is going to be tight from the beginning. The orange MP Motorsport car against the blue Palou Motorsport machine. And Egozzi is going to have that chance at the Dani Pedrosa Trisac corner. And Colnaghi had to weave a little bit, maybe a little bit too much. When we also see a few of the drivers taking that chance, we always mention that. First lap is always useful to get that overtake done. And James Segozzi is going to try as well. He's not able to complete the move. That was an attempt at the Aspar corner. And we are also seeing that first lap with very, very small differences. Carrasquedo has also gone up to 7th place. Caranta gone up to 10th. And also Macedo, who has climbed to 15th place. Luckily, no more issues on the first lap. We do not have further problems. And so that means we are safely through the first lap of this 30-minute plus 1 lap race that will start the 2025 season of the Spanish Winter Championship for the Eurocup 3. Mattia Colnaghi keeping first place ahead of James Segozzi, with Gladish in 3rd place. A good job done by the Formula 4 Spanish Championship rookies. And here we see more technical issues for Palou driver. This is number 23, as we said, Alceu Feldman. These cold temperatures are not being kind to these machines. We're seeing a few issues across the board, both in E4 and Eurocup 3. But we are also seeing some good overtaking, or at least some attempts to overtake. This is one of the Campos cars trying the outside over Cota, but couldn't do it. Rasquedo was making that attempt, but they did not manage to make it stick. And now this is the replay of the race start. We saw how James Segozzi had a good start, a good launch, and that gave him a decent chance to take the lead, although in the end that was not possible. That was a very, very good defense from the race leader. And so we are back to live action, watching these drivers do what they do best, And Juan Cota in this 5th place ahead of Jesse Carrasquedo. And of course, behind number 33, Andrés Cárdenas, the Spanish-speaking contingent, looking for those podium positions. And we have an overtake. This is one of the Red Bull machines. That is Jules Caranta making that overtake. And also following those drivers who are aiming for the podium. At the top, no more changes for the time being. Around the race leader, Mattia Colnaghi leading safely, almost with 1 second advantage over James Agozzi, doing a very, very good job. And he doesn't seem to have much in the way of a challenge for the time being. We know from having seen him driving in Formula 4 that he is one quick driver, especially when he feels comfortable with the car, with the circuit, with the conditions. And today seems to be one of those days, one of those times where he is actually feeling it. We see some more action behind. That's Carrasquedo and Solov, two of the drivers who already know these cars very well, who have been racing them in the past, and two drivers who know what it is to win races in here. So these are perhaps excellent benchmarks for the newer drivers, and so seeing these rookies ahead, that is notable. We see 5 rookies in the 5 first positions, which shows that we have a very, very good crop this year. We have a very good amount of newcomers who I think are going to give us some excitement this year. I can only remember also some of the good newcomers that we had last year, some of the fights we had. And of course, this means that the quality will remain there. We go back to watching Solov, one of the drivers who also has experience driving in FIA Formula 3 and who also did quite well in the series. Of course, as we said, a very, very good benchmark, now chasing behind Jesse Carrasquedo. And these drivers are still struggling a little bit to race close to each other. We know that this is, as Miguel was saying, a very old school track. It's narrow, it's tight, it's twisty, the straights are not long, and so sometimes you have to push your rival, you have to force their mistake rather than just being faster. We know that being just faster may not be always enough. But it is a start for sure, and this is what James Agozzi is trying, and for the time being struggling at, because Mattia Colnaghi is getting ahead by more than 1 second, close to 1.2. So there isn't much that he can do about it, other than push harder, brake later, and hope that his settings allow him to cut down that difference to the race leader. He will also want to protect himself from Maciej Gladiš, who is also making his debut. And sometimes last year it almost gave the feeling that Gladiš was thinking about staying another year. But I think with that second half of the season that he had, he was more than prepared to keep climbing. And it was one of those things. Sometimes you just need to make sure that you make the most of the momentum. If you're in a good moment, you're learning, you're going quick, you're fighting with these high-profile rivals, sometimes you just need to follow them up, especially when you know you can take them on a fight. And he can do it. He's shown that he can do it. And for the time being, in a podium position for Gladiš, that is a very, very good start, as it is for Agozzi in P2, for Colnaghi in P1. And I'm sure that Cárdenas and Cota, even though they are outside of the podium right now, they should be quite happy also with this top 5 placed for them. But we still have more than 2/3 of the race ahead of us, so we should not consider these things as set in stone. because even though we know that Jerez is perhaps not the circuit where we will see more position changes, we know that they are still possible. And perhaps because of that, it is particularly important to be able to make the most of any chance that you get. Gladish getting very, very close to James Egozzi. He is just under 0.6 of a second behind the second place driver. And we know that that might be enough to think about overtaking. Egozzi will soon have to start protecting himself. That's less than half a second. That's less than half a second. And we can see, I could almost see, yes, we saw that. You saw Maciej Gladish doing a little bit of a lunge, a little bit of a, I'm here, a little bit of a message sending to his rival. And that is a psychological tactic. Drivers know them. And sometimes you just need to let the driver ahead of you know that you are there, hoping to get them a little bit nervous, hoping to get them to make a small mistake, as we were saying, especially in Jerez. Because if you make a mistake in Jerez, that is maybe enough to lose a position or two. Maybe not in the case of these drivers who are at the front, but for those who are a bit further back with bigger groups, a small mistake can cost a lot of places. Gladish, just over 0.4 of a second, doing very well. The Polish driver just following Egozzi. And again, we know that these drivers know each other very well. And I am reminded of their duel last year in Paul Ricard, where they had a very, very good fight together. And so, of course, they want to replicate that now and show that they can fight for the win. And they are doing that. Of course, it seems that something happened there, because Maciej Gladish, who lost a little bit of time there, 2 seconds behind the second place Egozzi. So that will smoothen things a little bit. We see one of the Red Bull drivers trying to get around the outside. That continues to be the duel we were talking about before. It should be Carrasquedo and Solov fighting for that 6th place. And we are seeing them right now into that 3rd sector with Caranta, another of the rookies, coming fast from behind. And I definitely have to insist on this. How good are the rookies this year? We are having 6 of them in the top 8 positions. So we know that they are going to give the old veterans some run for their money. Main straight again, with Carrasquedo ahead of Solov in this defense. That is the closest fight that we are having right now on track. And that is also a fight between the first 2 experienced drivers, let's say. Another classic duel within the drivers of the Campos Racing team. We have to also remember that because these teams have several drivers, some of them are located nominally in a different team. So that's why we have Solov within the Campos Racing banner, along with Caranta, for example, while Carrasquedo is part of the Griffin Core by Campos squad. We saw here an attempt also by the Red Bull driver, but it did not stick. Still, we know, we said that before, that's a strategy as well. Every attempt is one more attempt that you use to get your rival nervous, to get under their skin, to show that you can make it and that they are in trouble. And Jesse Carrasquedo knows it. The number 27 car, who is having to deal with the relentless attack by Solov, who's hounding him corner after corner. And ahead of them, at the top of the table, we have Kolnagi with an over 2-second advantage to Egozzi. That gives him a very comfortable position. And I suspect if we do not have any big surprise, that should probably be how things are going to end up, because the differences at the top are very, very large. 2.2 between Kolnagi and Egozzi, 1.7 between Egozzi and Gladish, and 2.3 from Gladish to Cardenas, who has a 1 second advantage over Kota in 5th place. And so we are watching right now this fight for 6th place, and Solov, who is trying to get into the slipstream of Carrasquedo, trying to get close to his, I would say, teammate, but let's say at least it's from the same general bigger team. And we're watching them duke it out for this 6th place, which is perhaps not where they would like to be. But let's remember that it's also the, in many ways, the pre-season for these drivers, who will want to use this Spanish Winter Championship to get everything prepared for the regular series, which will start later this year. Hard braking there by Solov, who locked his wheel there on the last corner. And that might be a problem at the end of the race if he continues to do that. We are having, for the time being, a relatively relaxed race from these guys. At the top, at least, with Kolnagi ahead of Egozzi. But be careful, because Maciej Gladish is starting to recover. 1.1 seconds to Egozzi in 2nd place. There might be a chance for the Polish driver to actually challenge 2nd place, and we might have another fight in our hands. And we're back to this duel that seems to be lasting for most of the race. The Campos drivers. This is a duel between teams of the same name. This is a duel between drivers that know each other well. This is a duel also to be the first experienced driver on track. But I can tell you, they will not like having all the rookies ahead. They do not enjoy that, because this means more difficult rivals for the season. Well, I tell you what, they have 8 races ahead to figure it out before the regular season starts. But after that, then no more chances. And regardless of that, we know that these guys, we've mentioned this before, these guys want to win at every single thing. As I always say, try to challenge them at chess, and they'll still give it all. So different colorings there. Jesse Carrasquedo was ahead of Solov, different colors from them, because it is only Solov who is wearing Red Bull's colors, as well as Caranta behind him. We're seeing Cardenas as well on those very, very recognizable MP Motorsport colors. Kolnagi as well, teammate, leading the race. And I suspect that he's not necessarily pushing as hard as he could. I get the feeling that Mattia Kolnagi is generally managing the race. He's comfortable with that 2.2 second advantage. And he absolutely doesn't need to force it. Gladish getting closer. Just over 0.4 of a second. That's less than half a second between the two of them. So this tells us something. Gladish is clearly faster than Egozzi. Now, of course, one thing is catching up to your rival. Another very different thing is overtaking. We know that. They know that. But, of course, we know that they are stubborn drivers. 11 minutes and a half plus 1 lap left. That is still over a third of the race, so there is still time for things to change. And change they might. Last lap, we were seeing Maciej Gladic getting closer to James Egozzi. James Egozzi seems to have reacted a little bit. But as we are seeing on the screens, the gap between the two of them is very, very small. Let's see how exactly James Egozzi is going to try and defend that position, how Maciej Gladic is going to try and overhaul his rival. And if, that is a big if Maciej Gladic managed to get past the Palo Motorsport machine, would he be able to try and challenge for the win? Well, that depends only on him. For the time being, this lap, Gladic has been faster on the first second, but on the second sector, they have the exact same time. And we cross the line. The difference is about 6 tenths between the two of them. And I suspect that this is mainly caused due to aerodynamics. As you know, following a car on this quick corner, on these fast corners, is particularly difficult due to the effect of dirty air from the cars that these guys have ahead of them. So for Maciej Gladic, following James Egozzi up close is probably the biggest challenge right now. But if he manages to deal with that, well, he could reach this back straight close enough to try and outbrake him. That is also what Nikola Tsolov wants to try, and this is why Jesse Carrasquedo defended on the inside. He did it well, but oh, that was perhaps a mistake by Jesse Carrasquedo. I'm not sure if that was a missed gear or some kind of technical issue, because Carrasquedo lost quite a bit of time there, and that allowed Nikola Tsolov to get past him and get up to 6th place. I suspect that's a technical issue for Carrasquedo. We will see the replay now. He had defended quite well the inside. Tsolov went seek the cross line, and it seems that at this point maybe the vibration from the curb got something dislodged out of place. I'm not sure, but clearly there is some issue in this number 27 car, which is now limping back to the pit, and that will not be the end that he had hoped for. And if anything, I think we're going to be lucky that he can go back to the pit lane without getting stranded on track. That would have been very bad. We might have had another safety car. So this is game over for Jesse Carrasquedo, who will be back to the pit lane right now. And that allows us to look back to the top of the race, to this fight for first and second, rather second and third, with James Egozzi, Maciej Gladic, two drivers again who know each other well from last year and who fight for this second place on the first race of the year. And ahead, Colnaghi, no challenge whatsoever. The Italian-Argentinian driver way far ahead from any driver who would try to put him under stress, because stress there is none right now for him. Fastest lap for Colnaghi, safely ahead, no challenge close, and all our attentions are focused on the P2 and P3 place drivers. Number 48, James Egozzi from Palo Motorsport. Number 7, Maciej Gladic, one of the KCL MP Motorsport drivers. And we know it's very tricky to overtake. This is because this is an old school track and with fairly short straights. This is probably the best place to mount an overtake attempt. But as you see, it's either you are very close or it's actually extremely difficult to actually get that chance and make it stick. Well, we're entering the final sector of the track, but we are also getting into the last few minutes of racing. It's 5 minutes 40 seconds right now, plus that extra lap. And these drivers are right now in a position where they have to decide whether they want to take a risk or they are satisfied with the positions they have. Some of the differences are fairly big. As we said, Kolnagi 2 seconds over Legozzi. And Gladic himself, third place, has over 3 seconds advantage to Andres Cardenas in fourth. There we go, that is the interval on the screens. Juan Cota just under 8 tenths from his rival in fourth. Solov getting very close to Cota as well. We are watching them right now, and he will try to maybe get that overtake done. Once Solov got past Carrasquedo, it seems that he found some extra pace, which has helped him get fairly close to the 4th and 5th place drivers. And now that is very close. Now here might be a chance for a position change. Let's see what he gets for the hairpin ahead of us. He will try the outside. That is the difficult way to do it. And Cota, we know he's a tough defender, keeps his position. But when your rival is so close, keeping a position like this is difficult to do it forever. And we keep watching those attempts from Nikola Tsolov behind Juan Cota. His pace is clearly not as fast as the Red Bull Junior Team driver, but he has the advantage of that track position and a good amount of experience defending against faster drivers. As we said before, Juan Cota was perhaps one of the most aggressive drivers when attacking last year in Spanish Formula 4, but he was also a great driver in terms of defense. That is Feldman being lapped and giving way to the faster machines. It is always difficult to do that, especially when you have to do it in the middle of a group. My word, he is close. Careful with Tsolov. He is very close to Juan Cota. And that means he has a very good chance to try it. He goes from the outside. Very good racing line. Now that is going to be a good chance. Let's see how he does it. He is very close. Juan Cota defends on the inside. He will have to try the outside line. Let's see if he keeps the outside or he tries to do the cross line. He goes from the outside. He tries that outside. He tries to cross the line. That might work. He tries to go on the same height, but he is not able to. Juan Cota once again skillfully defending that 5th position. Ooh, great move there by Tsolov. Keeping the outside. And that was majestic by Tsolov. That was fantastic by the number 8 driver, the Campos Racing driver. It seemed that he was not going to be able to do it, but he kept his foot, he kept the grip on the outside, and he made it stick. That is 5th place, earned absolutely by Nikola Tsolov. And perhaps now that will give a chance to number 83, Jules Caranta, to do the same thing. He has seen his teammate do it, so he knows what's the way to do it. He knows what is the way to actually get past Juan Cota. Now, will he be able to replicate it? Well, that's what we're going to find out in the next minute and a half plus 1 lap. So approximately we have 3 minutes of racing ahead of us. And that's when everything will have to be decided, since Maciej Gladic is not able to mount that attack on James Tegozzi. But we still might have a fight on those last 2 laps, perhaps even 3. There's still time for it. Caranta getting under the slipstream. It's not enough to attack, but it is enough to show that he is there. Not doing the cross line yet, but he is getting close to Kota. Kota will know. And he tries the inside. And he does try the inside. I'm not sure if that is going to stick, but that was a very brave attempt. Kota now has the inside on the next corner. He will keep that position. But going back to what we mentioned at the beginning of the race, this is that psychological play, that psychological pressure, saying I am willing to take the risk for that position. And of course, teams and race direction always paying attention to every single move to make sure that everything is legal. And of course, the drivers are being fair to each other. Now that is a group that is getting bigger and bigger. Kota, Caranta, Fittipaldi, Stuka, and Intra Fubasak in this gaggle of cars that are actually fighting for what is now 6th place. And we have Colnaghi reaching the end already of this timer, which means we will have one more lap once we cross the finish line. And that was the majestic move by Nikola Tsolov. What an astounding overtake that we saw around the outside. That was, without a doubt, the best move of the race. And we are watching Tsolov getting close to Cardenas as well. The time will be very tight. It's just under a second between these two. And there is only a lap and a half left. Just as there is a lap and a half left for Egozzi and Gladic. It will be tough to make an attempt, but we know that Gladic is at the very least going to push as hard as he can to try and squeeze any chance out of the race. Colnaghi continues to be ahead. No challenge for him other than his own race management. He is doing an amazing race, that has to be said. We are watching drivers get into the final lap. So we have 4.5 kilometers left ahead of us. That is not a lot of time for any change in position. But we have 3 spots that we could still have some fighting. This is the first. Egozzi and Gladic fighting for P2. Egozzi, who has the upper hand, 6/10 almost of a second separate him from his closest competitor. And I think the Palo Motorsport driver does have everything he needs to keep that place. Now this is the crucial spot. If Gladic cannot make it here, I cannot see him being able to do it before the checkered flag. He doesn't even need to defend. We also see behind the Tsolov is close to Cardenas, around 4/10 of a second. Not enough to overtake, perhaps. Kota is also defending from Caranta. And this is the last few corners for the duel for P2. These drivers are fighting for the podium. Colnaghi will have it all for himself. That checkered flag, he will be the first to see it. And that is one hell of a dream debut for Mattia Colnaghi, because he does it in style, in Jerez, with his first win in Eurocup 3. Great Mattia Colnaghi taking that first win, the reigning F4 champion, showing why he is one of the favorites. James Egozzi, Maciej Gladic will complete that podium spots in 2nd and 3rd place, followed by Cardenas, Tsolov, Kota, Caranta, Fittipaldi, Stuka, and Burz in that 10th place. What a dominant performance by an astounding Colnaghi. I have to say, very, very impressed with what the Italian Argentinian has done in this debut race in Euro Cup 3. He has shown that he has what it takes to be at the top of the series. Well, 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 we may well have another rookie candidate to be champion. We saw it last year. He proved how quickly he could recover from a difficult position in terms of points championship. So now we know that he's also quick from the beginning. He will absolutely, without a doubt, be very happy with that. That was definitely a way to introduce himself to the category. The Spanish Winter Championship, seeing already some, frankly, quite interesting situations. Especially with these drivers who are coming out with a lot of energy from Spanish Formula 4 Championship. This also proves that the series is growing in talent. And that is only good for all the fans watching, both from the grandstands and from home. Mattia Colnaghi getting back to the pit lane. He will have all the reason to celebrate with his team. And as always, MP Motorsport with Campos Racing, the two squads that are always big favorites in Euro Cup 3. And we're watching the race winner, Mattia Colnaghi, arriving to the spot that he has earned for himself, that #1 plate that shows that he's the winner. Great job, Mattia Colnaghi, first winner of 2025.
Yeah!
And after the celebration will come, I am very sure, the greeting with the team, a very, very happy team. I have no doubt about it. Because that is the team that will accompany him during this year, the team that he will show hope to carry to many more victories, and who knows, why not, maybe a title as well. Hugs all over the place here in the pit lane in Jerez, and there's good reason for it. Because that was a debut win for Colnaghi. A polite smile, a greeting with team, with photographers. Well, they all know that this is a good start, but they know that there's one more race today, one more tomorrow, so it's no good to get carried away, but it is good to enjoy the moment. Helmet in tow, time for the weighing. And now I think we're going with Miguel Portillo. We will listen to what the winner has to tell us.
Mattia, flag to flag, congratulations. How you feel with this very first victory?
Obviously, first race in Euro Cup, new car, new engine, new everything, but obviously same tracks since we are still in Spain. Last year in Jerez was quite good in the Formula 4. I had good experience on the track, and obviously this helped me a lot this weekend to take the pole position and the victory. Was a good race of management, just using the push to pass when I needed to and keeping the pace.
Tricky moment on the start, side by side, that was the key point of the race.
Yeah, here in Jerez the dirty area is quite a lot, so I knew I had to keep the head at the start. My start wasn't the greatest one I've done in my career, but obviously I was able to hold on and keep James behind.
Yeah, you kept the pace. It seems very difficult to overtake, and then we have a reverse grid and you can attack.
yeah, I'll have some fun in the reverse grid race. Yeah,
Congratulations, have fun.
thank you very much.
And the always honest, the always earnest Mattia Colnaghi, who said it very clearly. That was not the best start of my career, but I kept the danger behind. Well, that's what matters probably the most in his case. And he knows that he will have some hard work to do in the sprint race, the reverse grid race, because then he will have to start from 10th place and have some good recovery. Well, he's shown that he has the good pace when the track is clean ahead of him. Now he will have to make sure that he can also make some good overtakes and recover some positions. We know that Jerez is tricky. He said it better. You know, the air is dirty. That is the challenge that he's going to face. That is the challenge that some of his rivals also faced in this race. And as we are seeing some of the highlights of this first race of the season, we know that this hairpin is probably one of the two main spots where you can see overtakes. But we know that a good driver can sometimes make the difference. We also saw how Nicola Tsoloff was able to complete a spectacular overtake over Juan Cota, who is known for being a lion when it comes to defending. Well, that was an exciting first race of the year, an exciting start for the Spanish Winter Championship. And of course, now it's time to get these well-deserved drivers, top 3 drivers, up to the podium so that they can do the first celebration of 2025. Let's remember we have the presence of Mattia Colnaghi on the top spot of the podium. He will be accompanied by James Egozzi in the second position. And there will be, of course, that third position belonging to Maciej Gladiš. These drivers who are, of course, making waves as some of the most interesting and promising rookies coming straight from Spanish Formula 4. Drivers who were showing good skills, good speed last year, and who have been getting good feelings for the time being in this 2025. There will be time for the veterans to fight back, of course, but for now, this is like a dream start for them. And we are seeing again some of the overtakes that showed some excitement in this first race in Jerez, as well as the problems that we're seeing from Jesse Carrasquedo, a driver who should have had better luck, but unfortunately he was not able to complete the race due to some technical issues. And that is probably the move of the race. That was Nicola Tsoloff getting that overtake from the outside over Juan Cota, and that was fantastic. Not a podium finish for Tsoloff, who nevertheless managed to finish in P5, and that is probably, well, as good as he was going to make, considering his starting position. Drivers getting on top of the podium. Here we see the drivers on this top 3. That was Gladiš in third place, Egozzi in second place, and of course, our first race winner of the year, Mattia Colnaghi. And with that, will be time to, I think, listen to the winning driver national anthem, but it's not coming yet. There we go. And a round of applause for these 3 drivers who have definitely earned their spot on the podium today. And of course, the trophy ceremony, first of them being handed to the MP Motorsport team, which for the time being takes first blood in this Spanish Winter Championship. Trophy as well for Maciej Gladiš. Good debut for him in this P3 in the first race of the season. James Egozzi, who has also done a good start, and as an American driver in what is essentially Chip Ganassi's junior team, he might have a chance at IndyCar in the future, who knows? But the winner, Mattia Colnaghi, receiving the trophy, he has well earned that, and he will have plenty of reason to be happy about it. Drivers will also want to celebrate, but not celebrate too much, because now it's 1:30 here in Spain, and in just over 1 hour we will have the second race of the weekend. That will be the sprint race, the short race with the reverse grid. So these drivers, just as they get off the podium, they will go direct to working with the teams, to preparing everything, because even though there is some celebration, as we can see it now, they have to get back to work right away. So from us, it has been an absolute pleasure to watch this beginning of the season. Continue to accompany us, because we have the next race of the E4 coming up, but we will still have as well also a second Euro Cup 3 race to finish the day. So continue with us, we still have a lot of action from Jerez.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins, can't relax. Original, I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever mind.